Every one of you watching this screen, look out.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
What did I tell you about cartoons?
They've got a lot of brains, and they've got a lot of chutzpah.
Tell me how comic books make you feel, Dave.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hi, this is Frantz, Kantor, cartoonist, illustrator, and toon talker, and I'm here with
Jim Bridges, and I'm the president of the Australian Cartoon Museum. And what are we doing today, Frantz?
Well, we've got a particularly interesting character, an interesting intellectual property to talk about, Dick Tracy. So if you're a fan of the Madonna film, you may want to turn off now, because we're not going to talk about Madonna, we're going to talk about Dick Tracy the comic, which is a topic dear to my heart, and I'll explain.
You have a heart.
So this is a collector's edition. DC borrowed the property to put out this collector's edition of Dick Tracy. Now there are a lot of collector's editions.
Strange characters.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the reason why I like Dick Tracy is not because he's a detective from the 1930s and the era of gangsters, but have a look at these gangsters. They're weird and wonderful. You've got who's that? That's Brain. You've got Prune Face. You've got Bribery. There's one there, Bribery. You got Shaky, fantastic Brow. You know, Johnny Scorn. There's Flattop. It's my favorite. And there's that Pouch. This weird stuff.
Turn the back page over.
Oh, okay.
And they're the good guys.
They're the good guys there, yeah. There's Chief Patton, who's a bit of an idiot. There's Liz, that would be his girlfriend. There's Junior, his ward. There's Diet Smith. There's Bo Plenty and Gravel Gertie, Sam Catchem. So this was done in an era, this started in the 1930s, right? So straight after the Untouchables period.
Well, he was based on Hoover and the G-Man.
Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover, the G-Man, exactly. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah. So this character, he's got a yellow hat. Now I want to explain these things. Yellow hat and coat this guy wears. Back in the era of early printing in full color, and this was printed in full color, big broadsheets in the newspapers in America. The printing process was quite rudimentary, so yellow was a primary color, and they could print that quite nicely. It was quite striking. So the logo and the suit had to be more recognizable than the settings and all of the other characters. So that's what they settled on. So similarly to Superman having the big yellow S, right? Dick Tracy had the big yellow hat. So let's start. Let's have a look.
And trench coats. He had a yellow trench coat.
Yeah, which is a staple for detective dramas.
Yeah.
So rather than going down the route of film noir and making it a very serious tome or a serious story, they actually went in and created something that was quite unique. It was a blend of heavy stories about graft and corruption and stuff like that, and murder, you know. But they also had these weird and wacky characters.
And a lot of things happened really quickly.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the Sunday thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Sunday strips,
yeah.
These are collected from Sunday strips.
Yeah.
So Sunday strip stories are very truncated.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of read between the lines in a lot of the stories.
Yeah.
The other thing to note is because this is from a Sunday strip, irrespective of the size, I mean that would be one strip, and you know that's another strip, and that's another strip, and another strip, etc. So it's a full-page strip. They're quite big, but all the panels you'll notice are uniform. So that's one constraint. which is different from Superman or anything else. The other thing was, apart from the color of the printing, of course, you had to be very careful with the printing. You didn't have millions of colors to work with. You only had a few colors. The other thing was, what I wanted to say was the drawing actually was quite strange, because you can see his iconic pose, his iconic look. He was drawn from the side. He was never really explored properly from any other angle. So, except from the back, perhaps,
And the chin, it's symbolic.
But every time,
it's tough.
Exactly.
It's symbolic.
Yeah, but what happened was this is such an iconic look. It's almost like a logo.
Yeah.
Whenever you see Dick Tracy front on, you don't recognize him. So they had to use this coat. The only way to recognize Dick Tracy is with this coat. There's no other way. The coat and the hat were iconic.
And a lot of yellow taxis in his work,
Yeah, so, he's been explored on film a few times in the 1940s, and there was one, I think...
Serials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're serials, but you can view them for free on YouTube. And they're quite interesting.
This was his claim to fame. He had these...
Yeah, look at that.
Before
iPhones, you've got a two-way receiver, a wristwatch, radio, TV.
And see the jagged edge, that means it's coming from a radio or an electronic source.
Oh yeah, the symbols, the cartoon symbols of lightning there means it's a receiver.
And this was done in the 30s, and I mean they didn't have these things till recently, so that's like,
it's sort of like a
it's
foreshadowing.
80 years. A lot of cartoons do that, like science fiction,
Yeah. So there's some great ones. Look at these. These are the main baddies: Prune Face, Breathless Mahoney, Mumbles, and Flattop.
And there's a lot of like he's always being seduced by these characters, but he's always true to what was his first girlfriend? I can't remember, but she was
True Heart, Tess True Heart.
That's correct. Yeah. And all those sort of corny names, but there was a lot of violence in it too. Lots of violence and lots of murder.
Well, they had to
people are drowned and all that sort of stuff. And I think there was a lot more violence in it than the movies.
Well,
at the time,
yes,
Yeah, it's like during the 30s and the Depression, even strips like Little Annie Fanny, they were really gruesome. They were really realistic, and people, suffered. You could see it. Week after week, there's lots of suffering. There's people tied up, or they're slowly drowning and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so it's the way that he treated these subjects. There was a bit of humor, a bit of slapstick from the 1930s in there, but also violence. You have murders that happen that occur in there. People getting slugged. And the incredible language.
Yeah, this guy Flattop in particular. He disguises himself, and he goes from one crime to another, and Dick Tracy or the cops are right behind him, and he just climbs out the window, and he just gets away all the time, and it's really hanging on the edge of it's like the Saturday serials when there's no way known he can get out of this dilemma, and then at the last minute the next week he just gets
but also the language, how about this date I've got with a 38 slug, are you turning soft, Flattop? So this is sort of the lingo that kids would read this out loud probably in the 1930s.
And also I think it was connected. Something that I reckon that I haven't ever read. Basically a lot of the writing was very radio-like.
Yes.
So
you mean like a radio play, very short?
Short and punchy and lots of sound effects and stuff, and really drama. Lots of drama in it. So this is a dramatic strip. It's also occasionally funny, but it's very serious. And even things like the movies they made during the war, was it Basil Rathbone doing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
When you see those films, which are all available
on YouTube,
you get the feeling that the guys who wrote radio strips also wrote for films, and also wrote for. There was a lot more sort of centered on the drama. The stories were shorter.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Well, so that was the era.
Yeah.
Short stories were
and the
king.
pace in this strip in particular is great.
Yes.
It never lets up. It just goes through. Things get worse. Tracy gets, and he's always just seconds behind the bad guy. He works it out.
Yeah.
Know?
Well, he works it out with the reader.
Yeah.
The reader works it out.
That's right. That's why it's so popular.
Yes.
And like, he goes to the hotel lobby, and he goes in one lift, and the other guy comes out the other lift. He's just missed him like that. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And you're saying, oh, take the lift. Oh no, because he's taking the stairs and all that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah. So, you know, kids would really involve themselves in.
But
these
adults
stories.
loved it too.
Yeah. But you know, even the action, even though you're quite claustrophobic in these little boxes with text, you know, the action is quite intense, and there's you know, it's quite an involvement.
Well, see, he's shot him in the head.
Yeah. There's shot one there, and there's another shot to the head.
Yeah.
So they don't mess around with the violence, with the action.
No.
You know, there's one right through the heart, through a copper.
Yeah. But it's not. If you look at the panels are wonderful. They're just beautiful to look at. It's not like Kirby-esque sort of.
No, it doesn't jump out
violent
at you. Yeah.
And stuff. It's just matter of fact.
Matter of fact, yeah. But that's the beauty of it.
And a close up like that, like he's just putting his hand in his pocket, but it's just
a pickpocket. Yeah.
And of course, they had to do these little things like that because of different newspapers had different formats on the Sunday, so they had to change them all the time. And he might have to do an extra panel just to explain what happened last Sunday. You know?
Yeah, recaps. Yeah. So that's more like the serials, like the you know, the serials that kids would see in the cinema.
Yeah. But,
and you'd probably have the Dick Tracy serials as well running in the cinema.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether they ever referred to the show in the comic, but they certainly, with you know, the credits or the opening credits of the movies, they always feature this guy. They always feature the Chester Gould character. So yeah, it was a very really interesting character. Of course, you know, I grew up in the 60s where you had the Dick Tracy show, and I had a very mixed reaction with the Dick Tracy show because it was very different to the comic. The comic had its own language and its own
language, but
feel.
You
right?
see, the thing is, the bad guys were. That's the best thing.
The bad guys were bad. They're still bad.
Yeah, but they were the best bad guys.
Yeah,
because they were just all tried and true characters in their own way. You know what I mean?
They were interesting, and you love to see these characters recur and come back.
Gangsters all over the world, in every country, have nicknames.
Do you think, did this come
like,
before...
whether it's Japan or it's England or, you know, the Cray brothers, all that sort of stuff.
Well, like the Joker, the whole Batman premise is based on these regular recurring villains. Yeah. So that's...
And I've always thought that reading...
Same with Dick Tracy.
When you actually read these things, you get into the world of the
villain.
time and the world of the villain. It's about the villain.
Yeah.
They're all about the villain.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit about Tracy and his relationships and stuff like that, but he's just relentless. He just keeps going, you know. I mean, in fact, there's hundreds of policemen on the case and all that sort of stuff in real life, but you've got to make it into drama. And there's a typical picture, like he's leaning forward looking for clues all the time. And that's the other thing, clues. There's lots of clues.
Yeah, so it in a sense, it's asking you to be more involved, more interactive with the story,
That's
you know,
right, yeah.
to follow along and to care about the characters and to care about the villains coming to justice, you know.
But I remember as a kid looking at some of the Sunday ones that they did and just looking at the one page, and I just thought, that's the dog yawning.
No,
I used to think that, it's just beautiful looking at the whole page. He had a lovely, you know. Yeah, the dog doesn't like Dick Tracy.
No. So look at these, again, look at the colours and stuff.
Yeah.
Within the constraints of these little boxes, he's able to get quite a lot of story and a lot of variety.
Well,
Here's Flattop.
hang on, let's just go back a bit. You see, he's running away. He's stuck in a chimney. He's on the roof, they're onto him. See, he's going to be caught. So he gets down the chimney. Look, cutaway view, right?
Yeah.
And then they get up there. They're just behind him, and there he is. He's just, and he slips, and the noise, but they still don't get that there was something going on. And then he's still in the chimney.
Yeah.
And then this guy's blocked because of the fireplace, and he's blocking it.
Yeah.
And they've all moved on. The police have moved, and he pulls him out just in time, so he gets out, and then they go back on the route. There he is. Let's go. And then he just tells them what happened. He just gets away at the nick of time.
Yeah.
But being stuck in a chimney like that is a pretty unusual sort of.
And to go for 4 issues.
Yeah. It's a
It's a bit funny.
Yeah, how's he going to get out of this predicament? You know, you'll never get out of this.
Yeah, but look what he did with the colours.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's recognisable from a distance by just knowing
the gasoline-drenched clothing burst into a violent flame. So he throws this. He changes clothes with this guy and burns him, and they think, oh, that's him. He's gone. But he's not. And he always has a. He always has a little bottle of this gasoline dry cleaner on him.
Yeah.
You know, no, the magic dry cleaner. Yeah, he's selling it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and here's some
the
rogues
gallery.
gallery. You want to check this? Itchy Oliver. You want to do this again?
Yeah.
So
Itchy Oliver. Well.
So there's
all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Pouch shoulders.
Yeah.
Posy Piggy. ugly Christine. Johnny Scorn.
She's so ugly.
Itchy.
You can't see her face. Yeah. Itchy Oliver.
Spots.
Itchy Oliver.
Look at these spots.
What's the spots outside?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just went a bit crazy. Yeah. So, Breathless Mahoney.
Yeah.
88 Keys.
Yeah. The Brow.
Scorpio. Jerome Trose. I don't know what that is. Mama. Right? These are like, Steve the Tramp, Flattop, Mumbles.
Yeah,
Stooge Villa.
Yeah.
He was a great guy.
Yeah.
With a, cigarette.
Yeah.
BBI's is a great one. Bribery, Shaky. Oh, here's a great one. The Mole.
Yeah.
Prune Face. Mrs. Prune Face. She looks like a sultana. And Shoulders, Piggy.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's Posy and Pouch, not Pouch, Shoulders. Shoulders, Piggy, yeah. So that's the Dick Tracy Rogues Gallery. So the thing is, right, people be reading about, all of these real-time gangsters, Ma Barker, etc.
Yeah.
So
Ma and her boys.
Yeah, so they're familiar with these these villains and these crooks.
There weren't enough gangsters to go around, so
but
they
the
had
G-Men,
you had to invent Mumbles, you had to invent Shoulders and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but the G-Men were always in the paper catching these criminals.
There's this old Shakespearean actor who's a ham, and he gets involved in
isn't that Pills or
well, he's sort of like a John Barrymore type character.
Vitamin.
There's this guy, he's bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, but look at the blood. It's not red, it's black.
Yeah.
So they had a little bit of decency.
I think they had... No, but I think that you couldn't show red blood.
No.
Did they have something like that?
Yeah, well, they would be under the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah, I think he loved drawing characters like that they're sort of yucky, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've got a yuck value, and, people like them. This character's a pain in the ass, actually. And he goes on and he gets involved. He's gutless, really.
Yeah.
And here he is, what's this? As the rebel, the vicious limit, so he's got a lacquer band. And then, like, the usual stars.
Yeah.
And this is like the bottle.
Yes. But look at the use of blacks he would introduce.
There's the bottle, and there's the bottle. And then in this one...
you have to follow along.
Yeah, they finally trap him. They finally trap Flattop.
Yeah.
And you see, here it is here, what's this little clue sticking up, and he's underneath the floorboard.
So this would go over a year.
Yeah. And then finally, you see he's underneath the floorboards in a boat.
Yeah.
And he's shooting, and he's trying to get away. And now he's actually... You can tell he's really in trouble because he's opened his eyes.
Yes.
And here he is swimming. I remember seeing these things.
Yeah.
He's run into difficulty, tragic difficulty.
Yeah, he's stuck and
he actually dies.
Yeah.
He actually dies, which is a pity because he's such a great character.
Flattop dies.
Yeah. And there's Dick Tracy talks to Uncle Sam to Congressional Subcommittee.
Yeah, so there's a lot of linking with actual crime authorities in here, you know. And you could, as a kid, you could join the Dick Tracy club or something, or the G-Men club, and follow along, you know, the comic. It was a big thing for kids.
Chester Gould, and there's this forensic background. What there is there.
Yes.
And Crime Stopper's textbook. What's this? Rookies on Stakeout.
Yeah.
When Rookies on Stakeout, when conditions warrant view close-ups of criminal activities from a distance, behind in your side or rear mirror. I mean, it's just basically little.
Yeah, these would be reprinted in the newspaper in between stories, probably, so that the kids would cut them out or keep
Woman
them.
in an emergency. A common rat tail comb, along with other items in your purse, could be an effective weapon against an assailant.
Yeah,
like all these things. Like you can be a G-man too.
Yeah. So it was like the Dick Tracy motto. It was the Dick Tracy Club. So this is Dick Tracy. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and we may visit.
Is
Dick
yellow
Tracy
your
again.
favourite colour?
No, yellow's not my favourite colour.
Okay,
but you know, I think for Dick Tracy, it's very apt.
Yeah, I suggest you get
Stands out.
There's quite a few books on Dick Tracy, but they're mostly black and white, the weekly strips, you know. But this is really beautiful, and I suggest you read them. I mean, we haven't actually gone through a story, but Flattop was most of these stories, and it's a pity he had to die, because I just really think the great thing about Dick Tracy, we've said all the facts, but it's just that they really also tell you what time was like, time for tough in the Depression.
Yeah, kids
in particular.
Yes.
And then in the 50s, they sort of reflected the 50s and stuff like that. But of course, when he died, it continued on with other people, but they had to stick to his style. Because his style is really important. You know?
It's very iconic.
It's like Chick Young with Blondie and all that sort of stuff. You just have to stick to the style, because these characters are larger than life.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could mess around with... and of course, Al Cap did Fearless Fosdick, which was a takeoff on him, and he was one of my favourite characters. I actually discovered Fearless Fosdick before I discovered Dick Tracy.
Wow, okay. We'll have to look at Fearless Fosdick. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
All right, this is Frantz, Kantor.
And Jim Bridges saying check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, just go to Patreon, support us there.
Yep.
We'll catch you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the sour persimmons, cousin.